I don't want to waste your time. We have a lot of teams that we need to go ahead and look through. We have a ton of trades that we need to look through. And I actually made a couple trades on my own team today because I sadly lost week 7. So we had to mix things up. But we'll go ahead. We'll look at all these trades. We'll make some moves here. Dev says, considering this trade due to your rankings, however, Saquon has much harder matchups rest of season. Here's the thing between Judkins and Saquon Barkley. Quinshon Judkins is probably the more talented running back at this point of their respective careers. But between the two RBs, and I know Judkins has a good schedule going into the future. I may or may not have just traded for Quinshon Judkins today myself. You'll see it in the Flock League video, hopefully tomorrow. Even if Judkins is the more talented running back, Saquon Barkley has a larger role as a receiver, and he's in a much better offense. So for me, I think I'm still going to stand by Saquon Barkley. I understand the thought process here. I know that Barkley has been horrendous, but I'm going to be riding with him just a little bit longer. McLovin trading Baker and Byshell Tootin for a future first and Cam Ward. If you were a contender, I'd rather have Baker Mayfield. If you're a rebuilder, I would rather have Cam Ward in the future first. So I think it's very much a fair deal, and it's going to be up to you here. And we will get to the team reviews in just 1 second, but I definitely want to run through all the trade questions first, just in case somebody needs help with the trade that they need to make before today ends. Now, Dane trading Bucky, Tet, Harold Fannin for Javonte and Romadunce. Bucky to Rome, lateral move for me. Tetero McMillan, Harold Fannin for Javonte Williams. I'll take Javonte Williams here, and it won't even be remotely close. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I will take Javonte. Now, Quinshon Judkins, Tucker Kraft for Josh Jacobs. Like I said, I may or may not have just traded for Quinshon Judkins today, so I may or may not be very biased here. I also have Josh Jacobs on my own team. It's a 14-team format, so the depth matters a little bit more, but we have Brock Bowers. Reports are saying that Bowers is going to be back in week 9 after his bye. So realistically, I'd probably make this deal and go ahead and get Josh Jacobs, a player with a better receiving role in a much better offense. Don Julio trading Gibbs for James Cook and Bucky Irving. Gibbs to James Cook, downgrade, but picking up Bucky moves the needle a decent amount. We actually need some running back depth. If you are a team with a losing record, I would rather have Jahmyr Gibbs. If you are a team with a winning record, I would rather have the Bucky Irving and James Cook side. But obviously expectations, at least in my mind, will be that Bucky Irving is not going to be playing until week 10. I think the value is on the James Cook and Bucky Irving side of this, though. Now, Sika's here, quarterback this next week. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't really have a great grasp on all the matchups and everything. Let me go ahead and let me pull up the implied team totals that we have here. All this is on flockfantasy.com. We may need to start just loading this stuff in with the trade questions, which is something we can do in the future for sure. But anyway, let me go ahead and pull this up. Week 8 implied team totals. So right now, for the Rams, obviously Matthew Stafford on bye. Running back, I'm going to go with Kamani Vidal. You have no Hassan Haskins in this game. Between Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Rico Dowdle, and Tony Pollard, expectations are going to be that you have no Jaden Daniels in this game. For that reason, you should expect Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt's offense to score very few points against the Kansas City Chiefs. So I probably take Rico Dowdle. A wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, auto start, as well as Drake London, Tyler Warren at tight ends. And then in the flex, we're going to go Cortland Sutton. And full PPR format, I'm going to take Wan'Dale against Philly over Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who has 60 receiving yards through the first 7 games this year. But Bitter Hornet, always happy to see you. Let me make sure that I have no idea how many vouchers you have in your account at this point, but I got to make sure that you have more than enough here. It says, trying to get Bijan, wants a decent running back and wide receiver. I'm weak at RB, but I can offer CMC, Jones, Sutton, Warren. Not giving CMC Puka. He's 0-7 and wants to do. If he wants to do this deal, you take it and you run. I know Aaron Jones is coming back, But realistically, you're more likely than not have Aaron Jones still probably in a committee where Jordan Mason sees more work. Ja'Cory Cross-Camara doesn't look startable right now. So I think you just take Bijan Robinson here probably easily as well. Okay. And Joe says, congrats on 300,000, sir. No, thank you all so much. We officially have 300,000 members of the flock. Absolutely crazy. Appreciate y'all sticking with us, of course. And I'll be here every single day answering these questions this offseason. But yeah, let me see how much we're up to. I saw that we had the 300K. Yeah, we have 300,000 and then 100 as well on top of that. So now we just got, if we hit like 3,000 or 4,000 more by the time the season ends, typically every offseason when people aren't playing fantasy football, we'll lose a couple thousand subscribers. But it would be nice for like partnership reasons if we had 300,000 subs through the offseason. Michael, I have both Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley on my own team. I would rather have Josh Jacobs over Saquon rest of season. Okay. And can I hit y'all with a couple hypothetical questions? Please. Gonna need some help from y'all with some trades. One, let me know in the chat. Who would y'all rather have rest of season? Cam Skattebo or Rome Odunze? Cam Skattebo or Rome Odunze, who do you take rest of season? Now, Bitter Hornet, here we're making that same deal by getting Dalton Kincaid. I mean, hell, if you get Kincaid, the trade's even better. And oh my gosh. We got scat, Rome, scat, 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 Rome, scat, scat, scat. Rome, 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 scat, Rome, scat, Rome, Rome, scat. Scat, scat, Rome, 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 scat, scat, Rome, Rome. So it looks like it's split 50-50. Interesting. Interesting. All right. But yeah, Bitter Hornet, I would take Bijan Robinson here. Yeah, even with, I mean, obviously it's better that you get Dalton Kincaid, but I do the first deal where you had no Kincaid. Okay. Now, Tide Chicks got Diggs. Is currently 3-4. Traded Etienne and McLaurin for Bowers and May with Daniels going down. Also accepted this. What do we think? Well, first off, always appreciate you, my friend. Etienne and McLaurin for Bowers and May, and you had Jaden Daniels who got injured. I like the deal. And then here, us trading Barkley to Gibbs, massive upgrade. London to Chase, massive upgrade. We traded away Trey McBride, but we got Brock Bowers, so not the end of the world. So honestly, I think you won this deal. And especially if you're looking at both of the trades combined, I like it a lot. Okay. Now, Cold Palmer trading Genty, Devonta Smith for Judkins and Tetero McMillan. And actually, let me ask y'all 3 questions here. That'll be interesting. Let me ask y'all to pick between 3 players. Who would y'all rather have rest of season? Scat, Judkins, or Rome? Let me know in the chat, which 3 are you going to take? I mean, which one of the 3 will you take? Scat, Judkins, or Rome? Now here, Cold Palmer trading Genty to Judkins, lateral move up to you. Devonta Smith, Tetero McMillan, kind of lateral move up to you. I probably would prefer Judkins and Tet. We got Judkins, 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 Scat, Judkins, Rome, Judkins, Judkins, Scat, Judkins, Judkins, Judkins. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Now, Rob Dogs trading Barkley and Pickens for Puka and Spears is a 0. I think you take Puka Nacua here. Okay. Now, Henry says Scat's in a way better offense. No, right now the Giants project to only outscore the Titans and Browns this week. Real Superman trading JSN for Rice and Judkins. Who do you have at running back? You have Barkley, Ja'Cory Cross-Camara, Javonte. So you can start Javonte and Barkley just fine. I know that Rice and Judkins look great, but here your team's a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. I think we would take the JSN side. And Jamie, you may know a small little detail of the trades we made today. You don't know it all. I've been wheeling and dealing today. I have been wheeling and dealing. Now, Skyler trading Judkins Rice for Bijan Robinson. Yes, sir. 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. I'm going to go ahead. I will take Bijan. Now, it's Archie. Says, sub bro, trade Gibbs Olave high for Taylor with my team. Is it worth it? Also, may try to trade Dart for Goff too. So looking at this, leftover wide receiver, you have London, Flowers, Lamb. You just had the Mike Evans injury. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. I would say we're going to mark both sides the winner. I think this is a very fair trade. If it wasn't for the Mike Evans injury, I would definitely prefer to go through and take the Jonathan Taylor side if I were you. But because you lost Mike Evans, it may be just a little bit tougher given the context of us having a wide receiver go down now. So I think it's a fair trade and it's going to be up to you here. Now, let's go over to our next one. This is a Graham Kicker. It says, congrats to us streaming Rodgers. Allen for Mahomes to stack with Rice. 5-2 KC offense on the rise. I still have Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes rest of season. Mahomes has been better from a points per game perspective this year. And obviously now that you have Rashee Rice, you have this offense looking phenomenal. Realistically, you already have Josh Allen through the bye, and we have the larger sample of Josh Allen just being a dominant fantasy quarterback. He's averaged 22 points per game for 5 straight seasons now. And he's literally never misses time. So for me, I would still opt to go with Josh Allen, but it is pretty damn close, and I wouldn't fault anybody for wanting to pivot over to Mahomes. But if it was my team, I would still rather have Allen because he's already through the bye. Now, Gom coming through. Quarterback, we have Lamar. I know he missed practice, but sportsbooks have the Ravens as almost touchdown favorites here. They're projecting Lamar is going to play. Running back, we have no Kenneth Walker, so it's Chase Brown. Honestly, I think you got to play Chase Brown. They are heavy favorites over the Jets. And then with the flex, I'm assuming that you have no Nico Collins this week. I'm assuming you have no Garrett Wilson. So I think you probably plan on playing Kamani Vidal, where Hassan Haskins going to miss. Okay. Now, Drew Shades. Here, the best option that we have on the bench to get in the lineup this week would probably be like Adams on bye, McBride's on bye. It's probably Brashad Smith. If Kareem Hunt misses, I think you can play Brashad Smith over Tajay Spears. But it looks like we just hit 100 likes on the stream, so we need to go through. We need to send out some free questions. Again, reminder, if y'all want to qualify to win free questions on any of these streams, all you got to do is drop a like on the live stream and then drop your flockfantasy.com username in the live chat. That way, if you win a free question, I know who to send it over to. And then also, of course, if you wanted to get guaranteed free questions, you can always do so by taking advantage of the offer that we have over on Underdog Fantasy, where if you go over to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, you are going to get $100 added to your account after you play your first 5. You'll get a free Justin Herbert pick, higher, lower, half a total yard for that Thursday night game. And on top of that, you will get free questions for these live streams, and we're live streaming every single day until Christmas. You can find that link in the live chat and the description. But let me see if we can find Garrison on the site, and we'll go ahead and send him over a free question if we can. Just give me 1 second to see if I can find you, my friend. No. Water went down the wrong pipe, but it wasn't too bad there. Okay. Garrison, just found you, just sent you over a free trade question. Appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream. Okay. And no, an account on flogfantasy.com doesn't cost anything. There are paid options on the site to unlock additional stuff, but you can have an account for free. Now, Hunter, running back, Jahmyr Gibbs will be on bye. You'll have no Amari and Hampton, so it's Shakori Cross-Camara or Woody Marks. Honestly, I'd probably go JCM, but it's going to be close. Wide receiver, no Thomas, no JSN. So you have Pittman, and then I would go with Keenan in the flex. Okay. Now, Legal Assassin trading Pickens for Rico Dowdle. I'd rather have George Pickens, and it's not even really close now that you have Chuba Hubbard back and playing a decent amount. Like, Hubbard pretty much played more than Dowdle this past week. Now, Bitter Hornet says, I was offered Caleb for Woody with Daniels out. If you lost Jaden Daniels, I understand it. You have Jordan Love on the waiver wire, though, so you could just pick up Jordan Love. I mean, it's a fair deal. I'm going to mark both sides as a winner. But Woody Marks looks like he's the dude to Houston now. So it's not like a super easy call to just tell you to run with run with Caleb here. Now, Little Pizza says 3 wins in a row, looking to upgrade. Any advice? 14 teams start 8 format. Actually, Wan'Dale Robinson's a weekly starter. So we have the depth to get through injury. I don't think you have the... I mean, it's a fine deal if you wanted to make it, and you can tell my gut reaction is for us to go through and say, oh, yeah, let's take the CeeDee Lamb side. We would trade Wan'Dale and Rashee Rice for him. But if it's a 14-team start 8 format where the depth matters a lot more, I think I would actually hold on to the extra starter. And Dave's saying it's actually a 16-person league. If it's actually a 16-person league, then yeah, that makes it that much more relevant to hold on to Wan'Dale. And honestly, I think you have a good team. I would just keep rolling with this as is, considering the depth requirements of this league. I think you're going to be a lot of teams that won't be able to survive bye weeks and injuries where we can. Now, Brown trading Hubbard and Tet for Romadunce. Leftover running back, you'd have Judkins, Chase Brown, and that's it. But realistically, it does look like Rome's probably in a different tier than Tedero McMillan. So I'm fine with you making this. Brandon says, what do you think of this trade? Should I do it? Scat and Tet for Jefferson. 10 team start 8 format, leftover running back. We'd have Kyron, Etienne, Jordan Mason. So this week at running back, you'd be garbage, but long term, I like it. Yeah, I think I do this. Now, Mushy, here for the flex. We have no Gibbs. We have no Adams. We have no Myers. We have no St. Brown. We have no Cup. So your options are Alec Pierce, Mark Andrews, Dalton Kincaid. I'd probably go ahead and take Kincaid. Now, CR Tanner, we have Dak in at quarterback. Wide receiver, Chase, Alad, Sutton. Tight end, Laporta. You could pivot from Ladd to Pittman if it looks like Downs is going to miss again. Now, B-Dog, Mac Attack, trading Puka for Rice and Judkins. I'd rather have Puka here, unless you're desperate for running back. You have Genty, Rashad White, Pollard, like we can kind of survive here in the short term. Actually, no, your team's garbage. I'm sorry to say it, but we lost Mike Evans. Right now, our wide receiver 1 is, besides Puka Nacua, our wide receiver 1 is Ricky Pearsall. Like, you have nobody to play right now. So if you have nobody to play and you have nobody at running back, like, I think the value is on the Puka side. But realistically, if you need to pick up an additional starter, I completely understand you making this move. I think the value is on the Puka side of that. Okay. Bitter Hornet trading Jones, Pearsall, Tyler Warren for Cam Scatterbo and Brock Bowers. Give me Cam Scatterbo over Aaron Jones, Ricky Pearsall. Give me Tyler Warren over Brock Bowers. I think this is very much a fair trade. Do I love it? Depends on what ends up happening with Bowers. If Bowers never gets back to being in the same tier as Tyler Warren, then you lose. But if you're a believer in Bowers post-bye that he'll be back near Tyler Warren, then I think you win. Okay. Now, Bitter Hornet, here quarterback. I guess we have Stroud with no Jaden Daniels. And then in the flex, I think you're going to plan on playing Rico Dowdle. I doubt you have Terry or Ricky Pearsall playing this week. And I would not play Aaron Jones over Dowdle. Ernest Bogg trading Judkins, Nico for Taylor and Kincaid. Right now, we have nobody at tight ends. Leftover receiver, we'd have Rice and then no wide receiver 2. If you had a losing record, you probably just play JT here so you can actually have somebody here in the short, like an upgrade in the short term. Because obviously with the Nico concussion, it's going to hurt. And you can get a startable tight end here as well. But trying to think. Yeah, I think you go JT just because he is in a completely different tier. Your wide receiver room's just bad, though. Now, Joey says, I'm 3-4, and if I do this, probably 3-5 this week. Etienne and Bree, like, it doesn't matter what your in record is. I know you're a losing team, and obviously we don't want to be trading for Bucky on a losing team. We probably don't get Bucky for another 2 weeks. But man, you're getting McCaffrey here. So if you're able to go through and if you're able to send Etienne, Brees, Higgins, AJ Brown, a bunch of these mid pieces and get CMC and then the upside of Bucky Irving on top of it, it's like you really need Bucky to be anything. Like you can win this with CMC by himself. Okay. Now Bryn is able trading Higgins in a future second for Brian Thomas in a dynasty league. I think it's a very fair deal. I'd still probably rather have Brian Thomas in redraft. Obviously, Brian Thomas much younger than T. Higgins, but you're getting the second rounder on top of it. So honestly, I think this is a very fair trade. I'm going to mark both sides the winner. I think it's up to you. Now, John Slott's trading London and Swift for JSN. Leftover running back, we'd have Dowdle, Vidal, Kyron, Bucky, Sharp. So you have plenty of depth. Yeah, they can go get JSN here. Saram says 2-5, need a top running back that's done with their bye. Yeah, if you're 2-5, getting off of Garrett Wilson as well, we may not see Wilson anytime soon. I think makes a lot of sense. I think you can go ahead and make this play for Jacobs and Keon Coleman. Bitter Hornet here for the flex. I would go ahead and not take Chase Brown. Y'all know I'm not the biggest Chase Brown guy at this point, just given the fact that the receiving involvement's taken a sharp dip. The offense, I still think is going to be bad most weeks, but they're like 6.5 point favorites this week against the Jets. And given that context, you do need to go through and you need to play Chase Brown. Like, this is Chase Brown's week. Bill Hillside trading Kittle, Kenneth Walker for Barkley and Hawk. Kenneth Walker's not startable, so I would do this deal. Like, Kenneth Walker effectively is a handcuff running back at this point. So I would go ahead and I would take Saquon Barkley and TJ Hawkinson. Okay. Now, Mark Fellis says, could be a contender this year. I'm 4-3 with the highest points for against. Hate trading young talent, but this is a haul. I'll send you over a free trade question voucher, my friend, because I don't see what's on the other side of this. So please resubmit this so I can see what's on the other side. Now, JG Luck trading ETN, Puka Nacua, Keenan Allen for Barkley, Metcalf, AJ Brown. Puka to Barkley downgrade, ETN to AJ Brown up to you, Keenan to Metcalf. I think this is the Puka side. And realistically, like Puka versus Saquon Barkley, you may get the same amount of games played rest of season. So, yeah. Because, I mean, Puka going through his bye now. Barkley has the bye week in week 9. So, I think you go for it. Now, Zaire trading Gibbs, St. Brown for Allen, James Cook, Jalen Waddle. Okay. St. Brown to James Cook, up to you. Gibbs to Allen. Give me Gibbs. Waddle's not moved. Actually, this is a super flex league. Super flex league where our quarterbacks are Tua, McCarthy, and Jahmyr Gibbs. So in that instance, you take, and Josh, you know what I mean, and Tua. In that instance, you take the Josh Allen side here easily in a super flex format. One quarterback league, I was ready to go ahead and tell you that it was going to be the Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown side. Now, new money trading Genty and Olave for Barkley and Kendrick Bourne. Bourne's a 0. 10-team league. Leftover at wide receiver, we'd have Chase, Rice, Pickens, Waddle, so we don't really need Olave. So, yeah, in that instance, I think you can go ahead and you can make the upgrade to Barkley. It's a very real possibility that Genty's the more talented running back between the two of them at this point, but Barkley's going to be in a much better offense going into the future. Okay. Now, let's move over to our next question. Antonio trading JCM, Higgins, Olave, Quentin Johnston for Kamara and JSN. JCM to Kamara upgrade. The 3 wide receivers to JSN, massive upgrade. Leftover, you'd have JSN, CeeDee Lamb, Igbuka. So it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So hell yeah, send the 4 names and just get the elite stud in return. Okay. Now, Jedi. Here, our best option on the bench this week is going to be Zay Flowers. And realistically, I didn't think I'd get, actually, one, I would play Dobbins over Brees with Dobbins playing Dallas. And 2, I'd probably play Flowers over Keenan if Lamar plays. If Lamar sits, then obviously you can go ahead and you can take Keenan Allen. Okay. Now, Duzinator, we have Dart in a future first Joe Burrow. I'd rather have Joe Burrow. I know, I mean, we're riding high on the Jackson Dart excitement, but in a Dynasty Superflex League, I'll take Burrow over Dart in a future rookie first. Pure trading Sutton, Pitts for Igbuka. Yeah, I'll take Igbuka here, Chief. Now that Moody's back, it doesn't look like Pitts is moving the needle much. Cooper trading JSN for Jonathan Taylor. I have Taylor ranked ahead of him. JSN right now, I mean, is actually, that's wrong. That's for whatever reason dividing by 6 instead of 7. JSN's averaging about like 21.5 points per game. Jonathan Taylor's up at 25.5 points per game. Leftover at wide receiver, we'd have London Rome already through the bye, Matthew Golden already through the bye, and some additional depth pieces. Running back, you could use the players. So yeah, I would trade JSN for Jonathan Taylor. King Braid says, or JT Igbuka, Brian Thomas Jr. Ladd for CMC, CD, and Wandale. Okay. Here with the trade as it stands now, Igbuka to Jefferson, slight upgrade. Jonathan Taylor to Jacobs, massive upgrade. Bam Knight to 0, and we're getting Jalen Warren and Kincaid. JT to CMC is a lateral move. I'd slight upgrade. Igbuka to Lamb, upgrade. Brian Thomas to Wandale, downgrade, and you pay Ladd to get it done. Between these two deals, honestly, I probably keep the Jonathan Taylor side on both of them. Again, Jonathan Taylor is averaging 25.5 points per game. The Indianapolis Colts are currently the number 1 team in the league in point differential. I think you go JT. Now, great to Braun, trading Keenan for Chase Brown and Travis Kelce. I have Keenan and Chase Brown ranked 2 spots apart. So, realistically, you probably go with the Chase Brown side, but it's a fair trade. It's going to be up to you. Vader says, I know I'm overpaying, but we have too many receivers. Leftover, you'd have St. Brown, Harrison, Rice, Diggs. So, yeah, we'd still be fine. So, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Like, the winning side of this is Pickens and Adams. I completely understand you making this deal. I would much prefer trying to get to a higher tier running back than Kyron by sending Devontae Adams and one of our current running backs to get that upgrade. Okay. Now, Harrison trading Waddle for Dak. I'd rather have Dak. Like, Dak is looking like, with Lamb back in, he's leading the NFL in passing, especially with the Dallas Cowboys defense just putting them in a position where we're going to be throwing the ball in every second half. Now, B. Lawrence. Drake May. Actually, we're going to go Lamar Jackson. Lamar will be back this week. Running back, we're going to go Derrick Henry. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown and Debo. If Debo play, actually, no, Keenan, because you have no Daniels. Then tight end, we're going to go ahead. We will take Tyler Warren. And then in the flex, I'll go with Rachaad White against the New Orleans Saints. Hype Man trading Kyron to Devontae Adams for Saquon Barkley and Brock Bowers. So Kyron to Barkley, lateral move up to you. Devontae Adams, Brock Bowers, kind of dependent on your team situation. We don't really have great tight ends. We have phenomenal wide receivers. So am I going to sit here and say, like, you win this deal by a mile? No, I think it could go either way, but it makes sense for your team. Don't get me wrong. Okay. Now, Scooter trading Travis Hunter for Drake May. I have Travis Hunter ranked ahead of May at this point. You have the Kyler injury. Wide receiver, you have 4 viable names. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. So I really like Travis Hunter with the Brian Thomas Jr. injury. I really like Travis Hunter post-breakout with the wide receiver usage. But like, Drake May clearly helps your team more. So I am completely in favor of you going through and making this deal. Now let's go ahead and refresh this. The Soaring Eagle trading Pollard and Fannin for Travis Etienne. We will take Travis Etienne here. Now, Jay Gonzalez says 2-5. In reach of getting the best player, do we ride it out? Rome to Rashee Rice, massive upgrade. We're paying Jalen Warren for a couple meaningless assets. Leftover at running back, you're starting Javonte Williams, and you have nobody else. And if you're 2-5, you need to just go ahead and focus in on how do we win games right now. You've already had Jalen Warren as well as Rome Odunze through their bye week. So I probably hold on to Jalen Warren and Rome here, to be honest. But is it super easy? Of course not. Now, Pixto with our next one. Trading Jalen Ward and Sutton for Josh Jacobs. Yeah, I'll take Jacobs here. 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Depth's not going to matter much. We'll go for it. Now, Matt DeWolf trading Judkins and Derrick Henry for Jahmyr Gibbs. We have Jacobs and Javonte as quality depth pieces, so you can 100% afford this. I do think that Derrick Henry is about to be a hell of a lot better now that Lamar is back. Like we said, we had him on that buy low video, but team that's that good, you can afford to make that trade. No questions about it. Okay. Now let's go ahead and let's look at this next one, which is Josh Allen's. We have Tony Pollard and Devonta Smith for Amari and Hampton. Pollard's effectively a 0. Leftover at wide receiver, we'd have Addison, Ladd, Jefferson, Matthew Golden. So you have plenty of wide receiver depth. So I would do this deal, of course, with the understanding that we would need to have a winning team. If we're currently sitting at 2-5, there's no reason for us to ever go out there and be trading for Amari and Hampton. But if you had a winning team, then yeah, I think you go for it. Now, Punctual Solvency, trading Brees and Rome for Baker and Sutton. Yeah, Chief, I'm going to take Brees and Rome here. I think Baker gets a hit for me now that Mike Evans is out for the rest of the year. Like, the excitement with Baker is he's already been producing near an elite level, and you were going to get Evans back in, get Godwin back in. All of a sudden, he has a ton of these weapons. But with that no longer being the case, it's much tougher. Now, the Dork side, trading Gibbs for JSN. I have JSN technically ranked out of him. You have CMC, Judkins at running back. Wide receiver, we have Nico, London. Nico's banged up. So, I think it's a very fair deal. The thing between the two of these guys is you do have JSN already through the bye week in which you don't have that for Jahmyr Gibbs. So, knowing you're getting an extra game out of JSN, we'll take him. Now, Matt Sells traded A.J. Brown, Brock Bowers for Mahomes and Kraft. Mahomes is the best player in the deal. Bowers versus Kraft. I would still rather have Bowers rest of season, knowing that Bowers should come back after the week 8 bye. We have Laporte at tight ends also at the week 8 bye right now. We just lost Daniels. So here's the thing. If Daniels doesn't come back this season, it's the Patrick Mahomes side. However, if Jaden Daniels is back in 2 weeks, then you'd probably opt to go A.J. Brown and Brock Bowers here. So I would, again, caution that if you go through and you make this deal and then you get Jaden Daniels back on this team where we didn't necessarily need to go through and trade for Patrick Mahomes, you could very easily be kicking yourself. Okay. Now, Bitter Hornet says I swapped Higgins for Sutton. Yeah, I would, of course, do this deal. Like I said, I would do this deal by trading away Sutton, and I'd rather have Sutton over Higgins. So I think you're willing to do this kind of regardless here, to be honest. Okay. Now, Bitter Hornet says he'd never do this, but it'd be wild. Yeah, Lamar over Daniels, and then I'd rather have Bijan over the rest of the side. Yeah, so like I said, I wouldn't try to get too greedy with it. That first deal that you had sent us involving Bijan Robinson, I think you were winning it right out the gate. Okay, now Frank DeTank with our next one. I said, I made this trade. I got the Hurts side. I'm 1-6. If you are 1-6, I understand you going for Hurts here, given the Nico concussion. For most people, though, I would probably opt to go with the Nico Collins side of this. Because I don't know, and I actually drafted Xavier Worthy in a lot of Underdog Best Ball drafts this offseason. So I hope we get some big Xavier Worthy weeks in the future. But it does look like Xavier Worthy may not really be much with Rashee Rice back in. Now, bank with our next one. Trading Debo and Tyler Warren for JSN. Post Jaden Daniels injury, this is going to be JSN very easily. Now, Amancini trading Tracy for Tedero McMillan. This is Tedero McMillan, and it's not even remotely close, especially given the context that you actually have Andy Dalton as the starter now, which, to be honest, Andy Dalton may be the better quarterback between him and Bryce Young. Like, it may be an upgrade for Ted. Now, Marine trading Brees and Tet for Kyron and Marv. Really, the only player here that's really moving the needle at the moment is Kyron Williams. So I'll take Kyron. Unless Brees ends up getting traded. Okay, now Solar Man. Here's trading Bucky for Kenneth Walker and Michael Pittman. Wide receiver right now, we have JSN, Xavier Worthy, DJ Moore, and that's about it. It's a 14-team format. Here's the thing. Kenneth Walker is not startable. If I was a winning team here, I very easily prefer the Bucky Irving side of things. Now, that being said, if I had a losing record, if I was at 2-5 and I was going to go, well, you know what? I don't have Bucky this week and I'm not going to get Bucky next week. Then with those circumstances, I understand you making the deal. But the Bucky Irving side for sure has the majority of the value. At least in my opinion, it does. Okay. Now, Alejandro with our next one. But real quick, looks like we just hit 200 likes on this stream, so we need to go ahead and we need to send out some more free questions. Again, if you want to qualify for free questions, it's really simple. All you got to do is drop a like on this live stream and then go ahead and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat right now. That way, if you win, I know who to send them over to. And of course, you can always go ahead and just get free questions guaranteed by taking advantage of the offer that we have on Underdog Fantasy, where if you go over to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, you are going to get $100 added to your account after you play your first 5. And on top of that, you're going to be getting a free Justin Herbert pick, higher, lower, half a total yard for tomorrow's game. Thursday's game. And you'll get free questions for the live streams that we're doing. And we're live streaming every single day until Christmas. So you should have plenty of opportunities to get those in. But let's go ahead and let's send out a free question in the chat. And this one's going to be to Sean Tucker. Let me see if I can find you, my friend. Appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream. And you can always find that link to Underdog Fantasy in the description as well as the live chat. Sean Tucker, I cannot find you, my friend. I don't know if you use code FLOCK on your account. If not, you can add it to your account page. And that way, next time, if you win something, I can find you. Let me see if I can find Jeff Dad Duck. I cannot find you either, my friend. I'll say the same thing. If you didn't use code FLOCK and you made your account, just add it to your account page. That way, next time, if you win, I can go ahead and I can try to help you out. Somebody says that's not Sean Tucker. Then what was it? Oh, Sean Fantasy. I don't know why I read Sean Tucker. I'm an idiot. Sean Fantasy. Okay, just found you and just went ahead and sent you over that free trade question. Appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream, my friend. Okay. Now, Alejandro trading Caleb to Daniel Jones. Lateral move up to you. ETN to James Cook. Let's go Rashee Rice to James Cook. Honestly, probably an upgrade for me. James Cook already through the bye week. You get him for an extra game. And then ETN to Terry McLaurin. This is a downgrade. So realistically for me, I think that this is very much a fair trade and very much up to you. I'm not going to fault you one way or another. So I'm going to mark both sides as a winner. And realistically, I don't think it matters much either who's currently on your team. I think that this is just a personal preference type deal. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our next question. This one's coming out from Oso. It's trading Derrick Henry, Rashee Rice for Bijan Robinson. Left over at wide receiver, we'd have Keenan, Lamb, Igbuka, so you have plenty of depth here. I think this is a very fair trade. I would opt in a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league where your wide receiver depth looks the way it does. I'd probably go ahead and take the Bijan Robinson into this. But I could very much see a team that needed the extra starter wanting to go with Derrick Henry and Rashee Rice here. Now, Hunt says potential trades: 1, James Cook to get Rashee Rice. Cook to Genty and Pittman. We are dealing with the Mike Evans injury. So, yeah, right now you have literally Luther Burden and Khalil Shakir in your starting lineup. Who do you have at running back? So, here's the thing, man. You make this deal, you're just transitioning points that were going to be in your lineup at running back to wide receiver, and you're going to be weak at wide receiver after you do it, and you're going to have to stream quarterback here. So, like, I wouldn't fault you if you went ahead and you wanted to make a trade like this, but realistically, am I super excited to do so? No. Like, again, if you look at James Cook, he's already through the bye, so you're going to get him for an extra week. So trades aren't bad. Those trades aren't bad, but I kind of like the idea of down tiering where we're getting 2 starters back because we clearly need the depth. I would like more value than freaking Genty and Pittman, though. Now, Jordan says he also offered Puka and Hawk instead. What could I counter back with? Puka and Hawk for James Cook, London, and Tetero McMillan. 12-team start 8 format. I kind of prefer I prefer the Lambs. Oh, you're giving 3 starters here for essentially 2. We have Tucker Kraft at tight end. Why the hell are we trying to trade for a tight end? All of a sudden, your running back room, you're going to have Jonathan Taylor, and who are you putting in at RB2? Are you going to trust Jordan Mason with Aaron Jones back? Are you going to trust Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt with Jaden Daniels injured? So I honestly would hold on to James Cook, Tetero McMillan, and Drake London here. I knew I need to log out, log back in so we can keep ripping these for y'all. Okay, let's sign out. We are signed back in. All right. Perfect. I don't know how many more non-team reviews we have. Okay. We don't have that many more. Perfect. Jordan says he also offered, like we said, we're going to go with the Cook, London, and Tet side here. Now, Mike Morrow trading A.J. Brown for Derrick Henry. I'm going to take Derrick Henry easily now that you have Lamar back in. You know, I'm not even a Derrick Henry guy. I hope I'm wrong here, but I think Derrick Henry is going to be an every week starter. Okay. Now, our next question's from Aaron. Trading May for Cooper Kupp. I don't care what your team is. I don't care if you were planning on cutting Drake May. Like, this is Drake May easily. And I couldn't care less. Cooper Kupp's not worth the roster spot. Now, Cali Kids has started at Williams or the waiver wire. Dart, Purdy, Aaron. Are you starting Caleb Williams? Yeah, you just start Caleb Williams. And then I would cut Darnold and pick up Dart for the rest of the season. And then here, running back, you're going to be starting Rachaad White against the Saints. Wide receiver, we have Lamb, JSN. Trey McBride in at tight end. And then we're going to go Rashee Rice in the flex. And you have an incredible team. You can afford to go and trade for an elite QB, to be honest. Okay. Now, Christian Mingle trading Swift, Javonte, and Ladd for Achane, White, and Rice. Javonte to Achane, give me Achane. Ladd to Rice, give me Rice. Swift, that is a fine price to pay. So, yeah. We'll go and upgrade 2 spots. We'll go and get Devon Achane and Rashee Rice here. Okay. Now, Hirimer trading Scat Hawkinson for Genty, DJ Moore, and Evan Ingram. Scat to Genty, slight upgrade. Hawk to Ingram, downgrade. Hawk's on the waiver wire in my league. I know JSN has a bye, so I apologize. With this, instead of us saying to start JSN and the Rice in the flex, you go ahead and you put Judkins in the flex. So I think that this is a fair deal. It's going to be up to you. Honestly, in a 10-team league, really the only thing that matters with this trade, as boring as it sounds, but it's the truth. The only thing that matters here is going to be who would you opt to take between Cam Scatterbo and Ashton Genty? That's what matters. Now, Furon trading Judkins, Worthy for Derrick Henry and Keon Coleman. Judkins to Henry upgrade, Worthy to Keon downgrade. Wide receiver, you have Rome, Sutton, and that's it. So the wide receiver actually matters. So I'm going to go with the Worthy into this. Now, Nose Beers trading T. Higgins for Jake Ferg. I have T. Higgins on my team. I'd trade him for Jake Ferg. Okay. Now, Bitter Hornet says, don't think I have enough running back depth for this. Let's see. You do have enough running back depth for this. I would do this trade if I were you. I'd take Trey McBride. I mean, you have Bijan, Dowdle, and Chase Brown. So you have one anchor already through his bye week, and then you have 2 additional running backs that you can play based off matchups. So, yeah, I think you're going to take McBride here. Now, Kieran says, I should be able to add Keenan Allen to this too. Took your advice and hoping I did something here. For me, post Mike Evans injury, this has to be Igbuka. I don't even think it's that close either. I think you kind of take Igbuka and Jalen Warren here and run. Now, Riff Raff says, drop Wandale for Hunter. Should I drop White for Marks? Since you're not starting Rachaad White, sure. Let me see. Do you have any other players? I would drop TJ Hawkinson. Yeah, I would drop TJ Hawkinson before I drop White. Like, I just dropped TJ Hawkinson myself in my league last week, and nobody picked him up on the waiver wire this week. You don't need a roster of 2 tight ends. Do you have backup quarterback? Or I drop Dart, but I wouldn't drop Rachaad White. Okay. Now, Gons, quarterback, give me Dak over Caleb. Running back, Kyron, Gibbs, both on bye. So it's like Chubb, Aaron Jones. I'll go Aaron Jones. Tight end, Ferg over Ertz. And then for the flex, Debo if he plays. Ertz if he doesn't. Now, Jack and Barack trading St. Brown, Kate Otten for Jefferson and Tyler Warren. I would take Jefferson and Tyler Warren here. Now, Mickey G trading Wilsons for Hunter and Caleb. Quarterback, we have Kyler. Who can we pick up off waivers? Lawrence, Stroud, Michael Penix, Flacco. So, yeah, I guess like Caleb is a significant upgrade over your waiver wire options. This is a hefty price to pay. I think you do this deal if you have a team in which you have a losing record and we just can't afford to lose another game. But outside of that instance, it's going to be tough. Now, Brian Polis trading Sutton for Justin Herbert. I'd rather have Cortland Sutton here. We lost Fields. Nobody really on waivers. I mean, I'd pick up Flacco and I'd stream Flacco this week before I'd sell Sutton for Herbert. I'd try to get to a higher tier QB. Now, complacency feeds boredom. Running back, I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara now that Miller is out. And then we will take Ja'Cory. Between JCM and Woody Marks, we're just going to have to see the projections on these guys, to be honest. I have them ranked back-to-back right now. Woody Marks looks like his offensive line straight garbage, but he has a larger receiving role, of course, than JCM does. And JCM, honestly, I think you go Woody Marks over JCM. We're going to go back and forth on that, but that's going to be a spot that we just need to see the projections with. And I know in our flex rankings it may be different. Okay. Now, variable thread trading Genty and Ferg for Warren, Rome, and Pitts. Rome, Genty, up to you. Ferg versus Jalen Ward and Kyle Pitts. I probably prefer... How bad do you need a wide receiver here? We have JSN, Rice, Marv, Matthew Golden. So, I mean, you don't really need a wide receiver. Tight end, we have Kyle Pitts and Harold Fannin. If anything, you need running back help more. So, I probably opt to go with Genty and Jake Ferguson, but it looks like it's a fair trade. I could see somebody wanting the other side. Okay. Now, Faruz for the flex. Ooh, sorry. Come on. You can load for us, baby. I believe in you. All right. Let's maybe refresh this. All right. Perfect. Here, running back, we need two guys. We have Taylor and then Kamara pretty easily. Wide receiver, we have no JSN. We're going to go Igbuka and Rashee Rice. Tight end, we have Hunter Henry. And then for the flex, I probably plan on going Olave over Devonta Smith, but we'll most likely need to see the projections. B. Lawrence trading the backs in Minnesota for Rico Dowdle. It's an 8. I can't tell you the league settings. I think it's going to be a personal preference type call to you. I probably prefer if we could have both the Minnesota running backs. Because if either guy goes down, then the other player turns into a must-start option. Now, Oliver Thu trading Kyron Nico for Jacobs and Flowers. Jacobs over Kyron, Nico over Flowers. I would say If you had a losing record, I probably prefer the Jacobs and Flowers side. But if you had a winning record, I wouldn't fault you at all for wanting to go the long-term upside of Kyron and Nico. But you'll get more games played out of Jacobs and Flowers. And I think they're relatively about the same. Okay. Now our next question is Taro. We have Kenneth Walker, Saquon Barkley, Lad McConkey versus CMC and Stephon Diggs. I mean, I have Saquon Barkley on my own team. Team ahead of us took CMC in my league. So, I mean, it's absolutely brutal. I would love to say like Barkley is somewhat close to McCaffrey, but they couldn't be farther apart. The gap in a per game perspective is like 10 points. So I think you take McCaffrey and you run. Tony versus trading Carter and Addison for Brees. You give me Brees. Sean Fantasy says, is Chase a riskier pick? We have Drake May, by the way. Yeah. Chase is riskier than Lamb for me because of the quarterback play between the two of them. But I wouldn't fault you if you made this. Like, I think it is somewhat a personal preference. And neither players threw their bye week either, so they're going to play the same amount of games going into the future. But I have Lamb ranked one spot ahead of Chase rest of season personally, based off quarterback play. Okay. And now let's go ahead and let's pull up some teams to take a little sneak peek at these. So I'll get that going for Julian in a second. It's a screenshot, so I'm going to pull that up separately. Here, 4-3, 4 straight dubs. Hell yes, my guy. I know we've been looking at this all season for you. Happy to hear that we are going in the right direction. Any advice is appreciated. Thank you, Mason. By the way, both quarterbacks on bye. Should we go to the waiver wire and make a trade today? So our waiver wire is Geno Smith. So really, you're telling me your only waiver wire option, Spencer Rattler. If you're 4-3, like obviously we really want to win this week, but it's not the end all be all. It's not like we're 2-5. So I wouldn't make a trade to fill in for a quarterback just for the bye week. I would just pick up Spencer Rattler and I would cut Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown doesn't really have the upside to move the needle at this point for you. Going over and looking at the other options on waivers. I would also drop Kate Otten for Gadsden. If Britton Strange was actually on our bench, obviously he's a very easy drop, but I'm assuming he's on your IR. Running back, and keep in mind, everyone, this is a 14-team format. Kyron, quality RB1 in a 14-team league. Hampton, long-term upside, and we're 4-3, so we can bank on the long-term upside here. We have Kamani Vidal to play in the short term. I'd probably play Kamani Vidal over Jordan Mason if Aaron Jones plays this week. RJ Harvey, Byshell Tootin as elite handcuff RBs. Wide receiver, we have Chase, wide receiver 1. Incredible in a 14-team format. Egbuka, wide receiver 2. Unbelievable in a 14-team format. Tedero McMillan, wide receiver 3. It's great. Jordan Addison, wide receiver 4. It's great. Yeah, if you could just pick up Gadsden and stream a quarterback this week, I think that this team's perfectly fine going into the future, and I wouldn't want to do anything with it. If you can't pick up Gadsden and Kate Otten doesn't cut it for us, but I mean, realistically, Kate Otten can be good given the Mike Evans injury, given the Chris Godwin injury, so he's just going to be flooded with targets in the short term. Like maybe you eventually explore the possibility of us sending like Tedero McMillan for a player like Brock Bowers. But that's not necessarily something that we need to worry about doing right now. So I would just try cutting Kate Otten for Gadsden. I would cut Hollywood to pick up the streaming quarterback. Long term, you have the wide receiver depth where you can afford to sell a wide receiver either for a running back, quarterback, or tight end upgrade. But I don't necessarily think that's something that you need to do right now. But I really appreciate you. Congrats on winning these games, my friend. I'm going to go ahead and send you over some free questions. And I'd be super happy to check out anything that you ever want from us. Now, let's move this over to our next question. This one's going to be from MJF. Says, looking for some advice. Just lost Mike Evans and my running backs aren't good. Should I trade? If so, what players should I trade and who do I target for them? Willing to trade any player on the team, or should we ride it out with the squad? Definitely playing to win, but just as much to avoid last. Well, I appreciate you, my guy. I'm going to go ahead and send you over some free questions as well before I forget. This is Morv Squad. We are currently 10th in the league analyzer. We are 3-4. We just lost this past week. We are 9th in terms of points scored. So yeah, we're in a spot in which it's not like we are the most desperate team to win games right now, but we definitely can't afford to like kick the can down the road with value. We need to make sure that we are competitive every week. Okay. Quarterback, we have Lamar Jackson coming back in. So, I mean, you can hold on to Aaron Rodgers just in case Lamar Jackson misses practice tomorrow. But the expectations right now that you have as sports books, I mean, you do have them as like 7-point favorites. So Lamar's probably going to be back in. Lamar will be an elite QB. I would drop Mark Andrews for Gadsden, even with Lamar coming back. Like, Andrews wasn't doing anything with Isaiah Likely out. Now that Likely's back in fully healthy, Andrews for sure won't be reliable. So I would drop Andrews for Gadsden. Eventually you can drop Rodgers once we just have 100% confirmation that Lamar is good and Lamar is going to play again. Running backs by far and away our weakest position. We have Kamani Vidal to play in the short term alongside Rachaad White. We have Chase Brown as a viable option in the long term. But long term, once Hampton and Bucky are back in, your running back room's screwed. Wide receiver, we have Lamb, Sutton. We have Godwin injured, so we don't have a ton of depth here either. So here's what I would have said if you had Mike Evans healthy. I would have said, like, let's go through and let's sell a wide receiver and let's go get an upgrade at a running back. But with the Mike Evans injury, you're very much put in a spot where you just have to survive. So what you're needing to do is you're needing to go ahead and you're needing to just make plays off the waiver wire. I'm assuming there's a world in which, again, I don't know if Darren Waller is on the IR for you. If these guys are on your bench currently, we have very, very easy drops to make for waiver wire names. Aaron Rodgers, Mike Evans, Darren Waller, Mark Andrews. You can cut those 4 players. I would pick up Gadsden, and then obviously you can keep Andrews if you want, if you're able to drop Waller for Gadsden. I would pick up Byshell Tootin. I would pick up Tyrone Tracy. And then probably Alec Aomanor. Because the thing that you're going to need to do with a team like this is you're just going to need to hit on the next Rachaad White. You need to hit on the next Rico Dowdle. You have to find one of those running backs off the waiver wire that can turn into every week starts for us. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we could say with this. Like, you don't really have the expendable trade value because you lost Mike Evans. Like, right now, your healthy wide receivers, Trey Tucker's wide receiver 3. So it's going to be extremely difficult for you to decide to go through and do anything here, to be honest. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way. And like I said, I went through and sent you over some free questions, but I think the thing that your team's going to have to do is just continuously stay on top of the waiver wire and churn and try to find the next Rico Dowdle. But let's check this out from Logan Baum. Says, I'm now 5-2, dud week, but I'm now littered with injuries and just traded Barkley for Jefferson. I need help badly now on where to go from here and anything we should do. I have Jason, Montgomery, and Charbon bye. We can't go 5-3. I need to move Hampton or something. Okay, so we're currently 5-2, and we've scored the second most points in this league. So we're like second in the league standings right now. So you have almost the same exact setup that I do, right? You're the same spot that I am. We have Montgomery on bye, so Realist and Sharps on bye. So our starting lineup this week is Baker Mayfield at quarterback, Saquon Barkley, Chuba Hubbard at running back, Drake London, and a waiver wire wide receiver. And then we're throwing a bum player from waivers into the flex. So I'm going to be honest with you, Chief. Like, you may lose this week, but you're 5-2. I don't know why you're saying that you can't go 5-3. Like, if you wanted to go, the last thing I would do on a 5-2 roster is go through and now trade Amari and Hampton. Like, Amari and Hampton's already missed the past 2 weeks, right? So you're 2 weeks closer to him returning. If you're selling him now, you're kind of selling him at the all-time low point. I would not do that. Going through and looking at options on waivers, I would cut obviously move Mike Evans to the IR, pick up Tez Johnson. That's somebody that we can actually play right now. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So we're going to be able to go through and put Tyler Warren in tight end, and he's going to make up a very high percentage of our starting lineup output because we don't have the second flex spot. Is there anything like... I'm trying to think if there's anything that you could realistically do here. I like your team construction. If this was a double flex format, I would probably try to sell some of the running back depth for wide receiver depth. But instead, with this being a single flex league, I actually like the fact that we have these guys like David Montgomery, Zach Charbonnet, because if you were to get an injury to Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet turns into a league winner. If you were to get an injury to Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery turns into a league winner. And also, you do have them as names that could realistically be viable flex plays for us. I know in weeks that they don't have their bye. I like your construction with this. I'm not going to make a trade. I especially don't want you to make a trade where we sell Amari and Hampton just so we don't fall to 5-3. There's a good shot whoever you're having to play against this next week also has some players on bye. I would just roll with this going into the future, to be honest. I really wish I had more for you, but I think you're going to be okay. And I like your team given your construction on it. Now let's move this over to our next team. This is going to be from Kyan Samet. Says, I need some magic sitting at 6-1, but the team is on the decline. My wide receivers are letting me down and we have no running back 2. What should we do? Y'all really panic quite often when y'all shouldn't, at least in my opinion. Let's go ahead and let's look at this. You're third in the league analyzer with value. You're second in the league in points. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. So the depth at wide receiver is not going to matter much. We have London Rome already through the bye. We have JT as the elite RB. We have Rico Woody Marks. We have the elite tight end with Tyler Wharton. We have the elite quarterback with Jalen Hurts. I don't see why you'd be stressing about this team. Like, I would say, if anything, you have a very strong roster, and we can roll with this going into the future. Now, for me, I don't think there's any world in which I'm ever considering putting Jordan Love in my starting lineup over Jalen Hurts. So what I would probably do is I would cut Jordan Love, like going through and looking at the options on the waiver wire. You have Jared Goff, Brock Purdy. You can pick up Jared Goff week 9 if you need somebody to play for the Jalen Hurts bye week. And then going over and looking at options that you have currently on waivers. Like, I think you could pick up Chris Godwin, who does have a considerable amount of long-term upside now that you have the Mike Evans injury. And then you want to keep Wan'Dale Robinson because we may need to start Wan'Dale in the flex spot here in the short term as we wait for Nico and Terry to come back in. But once you get Nico and Terry back in, I think eventually your team's probably going to want us to go ahead and we'd probably want to sell the combination of like Nico Collins and Rico Dowdle to get to an elite level RB. Sell the combination of Terry McLaurin and Rico Dowdle for an elite RB. But you're going to have to wait for the injuries to pass with these players, or at least with one of them, before you're able to go through and sell them because you need the depth for now. So for now, all I do is cut Jordan Love, pick up Chris Godwin. And then long term, again, you make that deal where you send a wide receiver piece with Rico Dowdle and go get that upgrade at running back. But I really appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and send you over some free questions. I'd be super happy to follow up with anything that you want from us. And again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock, my guy. Now let's move this over to our next question. This is Phoenix Lance. It says 0.2 point per carry, half PPR. Feels like the wheels are coming off a bit after back-to-back huge losses. Walker, Barkley, Brian Thomas Jr. are killing me. Is it time to panic? What moves can I make to climb myself out of the 4-3 logjam? The top 6 teams make the playoffs. So we're very easily making the playoffs at this point, right? And again, we've talked about this a lot. Point per carry, half PPR format, wide receiver, not going to matter much. Like, really what's going to be moving the needle here and what's really going to be important is simply running back and quarterback. Right now we have Josh Allen in a 0.2 point per carry league. He is going to be dominating in terms of points scored. Running back, we have Saquon Barkley, Cam Scadaboo. We have Jalen Warren as well. We can reasonably get 4 running backs into our starting lineup, which would be the ideal. And we have like Kenneth Walker. Now, obviously we had Kenneth Walker on the sell high video a couple of weeks back, but at this point there's no selling Kenneth Walker for anything. Wide receiver, we have Igbuka and Sutton as a startable name. I mean, if you could sell Brian Thomas Jr. and Kenneth Walker in a 2-for-1 deal to go get you a running back to put in that flex that you'd actually be excited to start, we would, but it's going to be much, much easier said than done. Like, I don't know what person is excited about trading for Brian Thomas and Kenneth Walker. And then we have the elite tight end with Tyler Warren. I'll say maybe it doesn't matter much to have the elite level tight end specifically in this format. So specifically in this kind of league, if you wanted to go through and if you wanted to trade Tyler Warren in a 2-for-1 deal to go and get an upgrade from Kenneth Walker that way, obviously somebody would be excited to trade for Tyler Warren. But if we were to go through it, if we were to look at the options on the waiver wire, like I guess you do have enough tight end value here where there are guys that we can go with, whether that's Harold Fannin, Hunter Henry, or Gadsden. But fact of the matter is, I think your team's going to be much better going into the future given your league settings. I think it's a team that I'm excited about with your league settings, to be honest. And then in terms of waiver wire pivots, you have Kenneth Gainwell, Byshell Tootin as the elite premium handcuff backs, where we have seen that if Jalen Warren's down, then all of a sudden we can pretty safely say that Kenneth Gainwell's an auto start. I would drop Alec Aomanor. If you wanted another wide receiver, I'd pick up Khalil Shakir. If you wanted to go through and if you wanted to pick up the extra running back handcuff upside piece in a point per carry format, I'm not going to fault you for it. And I think what you'd be looking at there is Kenneth Gainwell. But yeah, I mean, you can try sending Brian Thomas and Kenneth Walker in a 2-for-1 deal to get an RB upgrade. But again, like I moved Brian Thomas to wide receiver 28 in my rest of season ranks. And I've moved Kenneth Walker to RB 32. So realistically, I don't know if anybody is excited to make that trade, but I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. And yeah, let me make sure I sent you over those free questions. That way you can go ahead and you can follow up with anything that you want here. And yeah, let's make sure we send that. But I think your team is going to be just fine with your league settings, to be honest. Okay, let's move this over to John. Says, I have the opportunity to trade London and Swift for JSN. JSN's on bye this week, and I'm 3-4, which makes it tough. When Bucky is back in 2 weeks, ideally, I won't necessarily need Swift unless you think I'd ever start him over Sutton, London, or Rome, but would be good to know some other trade ideas as well. So it is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So let's go through the hypothetical scenario in which you do go through and you make a trade like this. You send London and Swift, who are both already through their bye week, for Jackson Smith and Jigba. Then what you are starting is you are going to have this week Rome Odunze, Cortland Sutton at wide receiver, Rico Dowdle, Kamani Vidal at running back, with like Xavier Worthy in the flex. Is that a lineup that makes it likely that you win? No. But is it a lineup that makes it likely that you lose? No. Like, it's a fine team. Okay. Then beyond that, we'd be 3-5. Starting in week 9, our starting lineup is Kyron Williams, Rico Dowdle, JSN, Rome, Sutton in the flex. And then a week 9 afterwards, you have Bucky, Kyron at running back, then JSN, Rome, Sutton, with May at quarterback and Bowers at tight end. So realistically, you probably make this move. If it was a double flex format, I wouldn't do it. If you were 2-5, I wouldn't do it. But if you're 3-4, I think you have enough wiggle room and the depth isn't going to matter that much. Now, in terms of waiver wire pivots, I think there is one that we want to look at. I would cut Mason Taylor. I would pick up Gadsden. I would probably cut Emmanuel Wilson and pick up Byshell Tootin. Unless you think there's any shot that you have Josh Jacobs missing this week, which obviously with the amount of buys that we have, if Jacobs misses this week and you had Emmanuel Wilson, it'd make our life a lot better. But let me see if there's, I can't think of there being anything else that I would be excited to do if I were you. I think we probably leave this team as is after you make that Jackson Smith and Jigba trade, and you just send up a prayer that you are going to be able to survive. And if you can survive, obviously, we'd be excited. Okay. Now, let's move this over to our next question. This is going to be Quest for Comfort. It says, team is super solid at the running back position, whereas my wide receivers are pretty weak. Pickens has been carrying in that position. Any trades that seem to work, only team I can't get anyone from is the Gill, as he has become inactive because of really bad luck early on, even though his team's pretty good. Here's the thing. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So if I wanted to be weak anywhere, it'd be wide receiver. We are 5-2. We've scored the second most points in this league, and we have the most valuable team according to the league analyzer. Now, quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts. So an elite quarterback that we can start every single week, zero hesitation. Obviously, we're fine rolling with this as is. Going over and looking at what we have at running back, we have CMC, my RB1 in fantasy. You'll love to see it. Ashton Genty is a great RB2 to have in a 12-team format. Cam Scattaboo is an incredible RB3 to have in a 12-team format. And then we have Jordan Mason, just in case we needed a depth piece, which we don't. And then we have Trevion Henderson as the premium handcuff RB. Going over to wide receiver, Pickens, wide receiver 1, acceptable, not super exciting. Keenan Allen, wide receiver 2, acceptable, not super exciting. Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver 3, acceptable, not super exciting. One thing that you could do if your league mates are willing, and if your league mates don't worry about Aaron Jones, is you don't need the depth of a player like Jordan Mason. Like Jordan Mason realistically is not doing much for you. So if you wanted to go ahead and if you wanted to try to send Jordan Mason and a wide receiver like Ricky Pearsall to go get an upgrade at wide receiver, I think that would be interesting. Now, in terms of a team that we would have to work with, it'd have to be a team that would be desperate enough to need Jordan Mason as a starter at running back. You said the team that is not willing to trade is Gill. And the Gill is not on our radar anyway for running back trade. This team has Kamara and Chase Brown as their top 2 RBs. If there's a world in which you can send them Jordan Mason and Ricky Pearsall to get to Devontae Adams, we'd be all about it. This team has Jalen Warren, J.K. Dobbins. If you could send them Jordan Mason and Ricky Pearsall to get to Nico Collins, get to Chris Olave, we'd be all about it. This team has Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker as their top 2 running backs. If there's a world in which you can send them Jordan Mason and maybe like Ricky Pearsall and go over and get to, honestly, maybe you just send them Ricky Pearsall for you send them Jordan Mason straight up for Bryant Thomas, Terry McLaurin. This team has RJ Harvey as their RB2. They have legitimately no RB2. I think you offer them Jordan Mason and Ricky Pearsall and see if you're able to go ahead and get a player like Cortland Sutton. So that would be what I'm trying to do here. I would be trying to make that 2-for-1 deal where we sell the running back depth piece that we don't exactly need to get to a wide receiver upgrade. Again, if you're going to sell that running back depth piece like Jordan Mason with Aaron Jones coming back in, realistically, you're going to have to find somebody that is pretty desperate there. But I think that's all I have for you. Again, I really appreciate you, my friend. And Really hope I was able to help you out in some way here. And I'm going to go ahead and send you over some free questions just in case there's anything else that you want me to take a look at. I'd be super happy to look at it for you. Now, let's move this over to our next question, which is going to be MLB Pitcher. Says, time for the midseason review. Made this trade earlier in the year. I like how it turned out. Evans, Flowers, Johnson, Achane for Pickens, Igbuka, Collins, Hubbard. Not sure if he'll update, but I also just traded George Pickens for, okay, that one's incredible. I'm thinking about packaging Dart for some value as well. So it's a 1 quarterback, 10 team league. I would say that realistically, there's no way that you can sell Jackson Dart. Now, if you got some magic in your league, if you can wheel and deal and you can get it done, congrats, my guy. I need to start learning from you. I know you have been with us for a long, long time now, and I really do appreciate you sticking with me for so long, my friend. But we are currently the number 2 team in this league analyzer. I'm going to go ahead and send you over some free questions real quick, but let's just have a little bit of a fun time looking at this dominant team here. This team at 1 has scored the most points in the league. Now, obviously, just because a team's the best team in the league, it doesn't mean that they're guaranteed to win, right? Like this team that I'm going to show y'all, I haven't even looked at it yet, but look at the league analyzer. I can pretty confidently say that it's going to be an absolute juggernaut, and they've scored the most points in the league, and they're still only 4-3. They've still lost 3 games this week, right? So fantasy football still is a game that any given week, anybody can win. But here they have Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane, James Cook, Puka Nacua, Rome Odunze, and Quentin Johnston. Now, if we just traded George Pickens for James Cook, we are going to be able to eat into some of their value, and honestly, our team's going to be a hell of a lot better. Now, again, this is a 10-team league. Start 8. So we're going to assume you can start 4 wide receivers weekly, and it's a 1 quarterback format. So again, I would say that you're not going to be able to sell Jackson Dart for anything, but by all means, if you could sell him and get any marginal upgrade on any part of your team, in my mind, you 100% should. Now, going through and looking at your team, you currently are sitting with Bijan Robinson, Quinshon Judkins, phenomenal RB1, RB2 combo as is, but you're going to bring in James Cook. So James Cook's actually about to be your RB2, and Quinshon Judkins is going to be your RB3, which is even that much better. Then we go over and we look at what we have at wide receiver. We have Igbuka wide receiver 1. We're going to have Nico Collins wide receiver 2. We have Travis Hunter wide receiver 3 breaking out. We have Stephon Diggs wide receiver 4. And then we have George Kittle at tight end, which I think that Kittle's still going to be fine in the long term here. Like, I'll probably realistically rank George Kittle as a borderline top 5 tight end this week, even though he had the goose egg last week. So this is an incredible team. I'm trying to think realistically what you could do here after you've gone ahead and you've traded George Pickens for James Cook. You have the elite quarterback. You have a tight end I still believe in. An incredible wide receiver post-Evans injury with Igbuka, top 10 guy rest of season. Nico doesn't look like a wide receiver 1, but I'm happy with him being our wide receiver 2. We have wide receivers and running backs we can be excited to put in the flex spots as well. I love your team. I'm 100% with you. If you can sell Jackson Dart in a 2-for-1 deal and get an upgrade anywhere, we will. I would say post Jaden Daniels injury, I would cut Ertz for Gadsden. I would cut Cooper Kupp for Tyrone Tracy or Brashad Smith. I'd be fine getting either guy. I prefer Tracy. I would make those 2 waiver wire pickups. I would 100% follow through with that deal where we're sending Pickens for James Cook. And then also, if they get cold feet and they need a little bit more value and you can send them Jackson Dart on top of it, you go for it. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way. Congrats on the incredible team. And again, thank you so much for sticking with us for so long now, my friend. Now let's check this team out for Bowers. As I'm 3-4, my league runs 2 flex spots. Team's looking a bit rough. Any trade ideas or moves you'd recommend? Okay, so we are neighbors think I'm selling dope. So I'm imagining that you are in a little bit of a tough spot with the neighbor's injury. And now, honestly, my friend, you're GG's. If you had the neighbor's injury and the Mike Evans injury, it's going to be tough to overcome it, especially in a double flex format. Now, right now we have the elite quarterback with Patrick Mahomes, which has obviously helped a ton. Right now we have scored the 2nd most points in this league. So we are a very unlucky 3-4, to be honest. Now, running back, we have the elite RB1 with Bijan Robinson. Ashton Genty, I really like at RB2. Woody Marks looks like he's capable RB3. We have Kamani Vidal for the short-term flex. So running back's great. Quarterback's great. Your issue is wide receivers god-awful. We have Quentin Johnston as our wide receiver 1, Brian Thomas wide receiver 2, Chris Godwin wide receiver 3. I would rather hold on to Brandon Ayuk on the IR than Mike Evans. I think Ayuk's a little more likely to make a difference between the two of them. So I'd cut Evans. I'd pick up Ayuk. In 3-4 team, if you could sell the combination of Chris Godwin and Brian Thomas and get a viable wide receiver in return, you'd go for it. But here's the thing. Depth matters. It's a double flex format, and we don't have a lot of depth right now. So, like, if you lose Evans, if you lose Malik Neighbors on the same team, I'm sorry to say it, but you're screwed. The amount of trades, like the flexibility that all of a sudden you have goes down dramatically. Like, what could I possibly tell you to do at this point? Like, maybe if you could go ahead and if you could send Kamani Vidal in a 2-for-1 deal with Chris Godwin and go get a wide receiver upgrade, knowing that Kamani Vidal is not going to be available for us throughout the entire season. And then there's no way in hell you could go out there and trade for an elite tight end. Like, having an elite tight end's a luxury. One thing that you may need to think about, if we don't get Godwin back, if we're not able to upgrade at wide receiver, is you may have to give up your elite luxury of having the quarterback. Like, obviously, Mahomes is incredible, and I would tell most teams that they do not want to sell Patrick Mahomes. But for you specifically, there may be a situation in which you need to go ahead and you need to look at moving off of him. It sucks to say, but where you send Patrick Mahomes in a 2-for-1 deal with Chris, not even a 2-for-1 deal. You send Patrick Mahomes and you get back a wide receiver like Igbuka, which if you can do that and you can stream quarterback, that may be a better option for you with the amount of wide receiver injuries that you have. But obviously, if we were selling the elite quarterback, I'd be looking for an elite wide receiver in return. But I do think that's on the table with how bad our wide receiver room is currently. But let me go ahead and send you over some free questions just in case you have anything else that you want to follow up with here. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but yeah, I think you're in a very tough spot, to be honest. Okay. Now, let's move this over to our next question. This is Mighty Mouse. This looks like it's a screenshot, so it's going to take us a little bit of time to pull that up on the other monitor. So just give me a second. And we'll skip this over to Bog Nasty. It says, any recommendations on a potential upgrade at running back or receiver? I'm willing to part with Genty or Collins, even knowing they have good schedules rest of season. Potentially could part with Judkins for a lineup upgrade as well. Fully aware of having 3 defenses. 2 will be cut imminently. Okay, well, my friend, I didn't even know that we had 3 defenses on the team. We don't load those in. I will say, if you are opening up 2 roster spots, we are 100% wanting to go through and we are wanting to just go crazy on waivers. The number 1 ad on your waiver wire this week, looking at your specific setup, it's not even remotely close. It's Travis Hunter. If you could get Travis Hunter, you all of a sudden will be in a significantly better position to sell a wide receiver in a 2-for-1 deal to go and get an upgrade at running back, because all of a sudden you'd have a lot more running back depth. Now, quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, an elite level quarterback that we can start every single week. Obviously, very excited about it. Tight end, we have Tucker Kraft, already through the bye. Top level tight end that we can start every single week. Very excited about it. Wide receiver, this is a league in which you can start up to 4 of them weekly. We have Jefferson, Nico, Tet, Devonta Smith. Great. We have Judkins, Genty, Jalen Warren at running back. So like having that 4th wide receiver is definitely important when we're going through a week like this, where we have Nico injured. We have Ashton Genty going through the bye. So we need to have the additional depth there to throw somebody in the flex. And then looking at what we have when it comes to waiver wire pivots. If you are able to open roster spots, of course, ignore me. If you're able to just go through and cut a couple defenses, and you don't have to cut these other players from your roster to make these waiver wire moves, obviously that's plan A. But assuming that we have to cut some of these bottom end names, in my mind, I do think that Jamison Williams is cuttable for Travis Hunter. Beyond that, looking at the waiver wire at running back, I wouldn't cut Aaron Jones for any of these players. I wouldn't cut Khalil Shakir for any other names. If you're able to open up an additional roster spot by cutting one of those defenses, as you mentioned, I would go ahead and I would pick up Gadsden with that extra roster spot. And then in terms of making a trade, I don't necessarily think we want to be making that 2-for-1 deal to get the improvement inside the starting lineup until we actually get Nico back from his injury. Like, you go try to sell Nico Collins and Ashton Genty right now. Good luck. It ain't happening. Nobody's trading for Nico right now. Nobody's trading for Tet right now. Nobody's trading for Genty right now. You're going to trade Nico the game he gets injured, the game he does nothing against a really tough defense. You're going to try to trade Ashton Genty in a game in which the Raiders get shut out by the Kansas City Chiefs. Who's paying for these guys? This would be the worst time to ever sell them. Once you have Genty through the bye week, perform well. Once you have Nico Collins back there and actually playing, I'm all in favor of you going through and trying to send Ashton Genty and Nico Collins in a 2-for-1 deal to go get that running back upgrade. If you wanted to sell high on some players right now, if you wanted to try to send Devonta Smith and Quinshon Judkins, if you can get to an unquestioned elite level RB, obviously any of the big four, whether that's Gibbs, we would prefer the S tier guys like Bijan, CMC, Jonathan Taylor. That'd be amazing, but it's much easier said than done. I'd send those offers out and just make them reject. And then again, pick up Travis Hunter. And if you pick up Travis Hunter, all of a sudden you can actually sell that depth wide receiver at an even lower cost just because you'd have additional wide receiver depth. But as things stand right now, I actually do think that you're in a really good spot. I know that we have a losing record, but I think your team's going to be much better going into the future. Let me go ahead and send you over some free questions in case there's anything else that you want to follow up with. I'd be super happy to take a look at it for you, my friend. Now, let's move this over to Will V. It says, lost 4 in a row since I lost Neighbors. Traded Kamani Vidal and Kendrick Bourne for Bucky last week. So here's the thing. That trade is incredible value. Like, even if Bucky Irving only comes back for the playoffs, the Bucky Irving side wins that easily. But with that in mind, it's assuming you make the playoffs. Like, if you lose Malik Neighbors and you have a losing record, it may be tough to go out there and make that kind of deal where you get the player that's not going to be playing over the next few weeks. We dropped Miller and Coker today. Not sure if I should go aggressively after Gadsden or look to try to trade Warren. League isn't super trade happy. Thanks for the help. Appreciate you, my friend. Looking at the team with how it stands right now, we are 3-4. Okay, so you were 3-0 when we lost Neighbors. We are down here near the bottom of the league analyzer. I mean, obviously, it's a little bit of a tough spot considering what we have with the Malik Neighbors injury. It's just going to thin out our depth. Scored 692 points, so we are 8th in points scored. But 3-4, it's not like we are desperate for wins right now. Like, we're still in the mix. Don't get me wrong. Okay. Now, quarterback, we have Goff and Dart, so we're playing the matchups at QB. 14-team format, so completely fine to say that. 10-team league, if you had Dart and Goff, not so much, but 14-team league, you're chilling. Then going over and looking at what we have at running back, we have the combo of James Cook, Bucky Irving. Incredible in a 14-team format. We have Jordan Mason that we can play here until we get Bucky Irving back in. And then obviously you already have James Cook through the bye. Now going over to wide receiver, you have London, Diggs, Ridley, Mooney. And then we have Tyler Warren at tight end. So it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. The wide receiver depth's not going to matter much. Our flex is just a little bit weak until you actually end up getting some of these names back. So with your 2 open roster spots, I would go after Gatson pretty aggressively in a 14-team format. It's going to be rare for you to be able to pick up somebody that can all of a sudden turn into a top 5 player at their position and hold a decent amount of trade value. Obviously, we don't need him ourselves if we have Tyler Warren, but say you pick up Gatson, he blows up on Thursday night, gives you a lot of flexibility in a 14-teamer. Then at that point, you can go ahead and you can look at trading Tyler Warren for an elite wide receiver running back in the flex, or you can look at selling Gatson. But if you have 2 open roster spots, I would pick up Gatson. And the other guy I would consider picking up in a 14-teamer where we may need somebody to start right now, it'd either be, you could pick up Michael Carter. You could go Brashad Smith, depending on the health of Kareem Hunt. Or I'd be looking at Jaden Reed as well. My only holdup with that is this is a team where you already have a tremendous amount of long-term upside, and you more so need to be thinking about your short-term production, at least in my opinion. But overall, in a 14-team format, I really like this team once you end up getting Bucky Irving back. Just the question is, can we survive for Bucky to return? A big thing that always matters to look at is if you're in a 14-team league, are you having 8 teams make the playoffs or is it 6 teams make the playoffs? Because if it's 6 teams making the playoffs, a 7-7 record's not getting you there. You'll have to be 8-6 at the very minimum. If 8 teams make the playoffs out of 14 teams, a 7-7 record gets you there. But kind of regardless of the setup, we should be looking and hopefully being able to score points here in the short term. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And again, thank you so much, my friend, for being a member of the flock. Now let's pivot over and let me back out real quick. And that way we can keep answering some of these questions. Just going to take me 1 second. Oh, and one thing, by the way, I don't know if y'all saw this, and obviously this is available for people that have free accounts, whatever. Just if you have your team linked with a site and you're on desktop, you can now see the recent trades that are made in your league, and you can see them graded out as well according to the league analyzer. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's bring this back up. Probably want to look at some of the quicker questions. These are going to be the trades, the start sits, and I don't think we have. I turned off super messages like permanently, essentially. Too many people are like sending in a super message going like, hey, look at my team. It's like, okay, brother, your team's not loaded in a super message. So like too much confusion with it. So we just turned those off. Okay. Uncle Sis. Here we're making a trade. Daniels to Lamar, massive upgrade. Ted to Tyler Warren, upgrade. Genty to Ibuka, upgrade. Brees to Chase Brown, downgrade. This is the Lamar side, and I don't think it's close either. Now, Champ loading, trading CMC for Barkley and Drake London. It's McCaffrey. The 3 players that are untouchable in fantasy right now are CMC, JT, and Bijan Robinson. If you have one of those 3 players, you hold on to them for dear life. Now, Fatty, here, quarterback Lamar, Herbert, and then I'd probably play Rodgers over Tua, to be honest. Running back, Jacobs, Judkins. Wide receiver, we're going to go with the combo of George Pickens. And your wide receiver room is garbage, my friend. Probably Keon Coleman. Tight end, Gatson over Evan Ingram. Then we go Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle. Hunter is not playing this week. Puka, Marv, Neighbors, none of them are playing this week. Neither's Miller. So you have like Isaiah Davis, Alec Aomanor, and like Evan Ingram to choose from. We'd go Alec Aomanor and Evan Ingram in that instance. Okay. Now, Fatty here, quarterback, we're going to go ahead and we will take Joe Flacco. Good matchup against the Jets. Stafford's on bye. Running back, you start Judkins and Dowdle. Wide receiver, going to go with the combo of Rice and A.J. Brown. Tight end, you have Tucker Kraft. And the flexes, you have the combo of Jamar Chase, Chuba Hubbard, and Trey Tucker. Actually, Trey Tucker's going to miss, so I'm sorry. With that, instead, you go Josh Downs if he plays. And if Josh Downs doesn't play, your last-minute pivot would be Kayshon Boutte. Okay. Now, Matt trading Flowers and Keenan for the Big Q and Sutton. Flowers to Sutton upgrade, Keenan to Big Q, lateral move up to you. So I would do this. I would say Flowers is about to be a hell of a lot better now that you have Lamar back in. Now, Michael, always happy to see you. Here, we're trading Judkins for Kyron. That's an upgrade. And Keenan for Jalen Warren. Up to you, depending on your team. So, yeah, I would go ahead and do this. I mean, if we are looking at Kyron Williams in comparison to Quinshon Judkins, Neither of them have that much receiving work, but Kyron's in the much better offense between the two. And both of them have to go through their bye. Now, Jay Soisey says 2-5 with injuries. Bye week 8. Hell. What are your thoughts? Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Devontae Adams to London. If you're having to go through the hell bye week, give me London. I'd take London kind of regardless. Quarterback, we have Purdy and Fields, so we have no quarterback, and we have Harold Fandon, startable tight end. So yeah, I would go get Josh Allen and Drake London here. Both guys already through their bye. Now, bounty accountability, we have Bijan, Dowdle, DJ Moore versus Javonte and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Bijan's by far and away the best player in this. DJ Moore is almost a 0. How bad do you need the wide receiver? I think you go with the best player here with Bijan, as crazy as it sounds. You have JSN, AJ Brown, Jacoby, DJ Moore. Javonte and Amon-Ra St. Brown are so exciting. Like I said, DJ Moore is almost a 0. Rico Dowdle's losing a ton, but I think you take Bijan Robinson. Now, Josh Allen's, we have Swift, Smith, Addison versus James Cook, essentially. Carter and Cooper Kupp are 0s. What would we have left over at wide receiver? Ladd, Jefferson, Godwin, Golden. It's a double flex format. Here's the thing. Single flex format is James Cook easily. Double flex format, I think it's a fair deal. I do think that's going to be up to you here. James Cook already through the bye. Just one thing that you have to acknowledge is there will be weeks in which, like, are you comfortable putting Matthew Golden in your flex? It seems like this is kind of a deal that you make once you're through some more bye weeks. Single flex league, give me James Cook. Double flex, a little bit tougher. But let's go ahead and refresh this. See if we have any more questions coming in. We got Brandon here, quarterback. I just don't know who's going to play. Maybe Purdy plays, but I can't tell you right now. It's Tuesday, my friend. And then here for the flex, I'm assuming Nico doesn't play. Hunter's not going to play. So you go Woody Marks. Amari Hampton's not going to play. So it's like Spears, RJ Harvey, or Luther Burden. I'd go Luther Burden and hope you get a big play, but it's by no means a guarantee. Now, Tristan trading Jefferson for Pickens and Judkins. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, 10-team league. Give me the best player 99% of the time. We have Derrick Henry, Jordan Mason, Woody Marks, Zach Charbonnet. So I understand you making this deal. Don't get me wrong. And in a lot of league settings, I think I do prefer the Judkins and George Pickens side. But specifically yours, where it's a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, I would probably go ahead and I'd probably take Justin Jefferson. Okay. And let's go ahead and let's go back to some of the team reviews here. Okay. Let's check this out for Tommy. Says, actually, it's 10:30. And you know what we're probably going to do? It's been 2 hours. So we may, in this live stream here, get making that. What would y'all rather have? Would y'all rather have a sell high or a buy low video, or I could just do a generic trade video and I could talk about I made 2 trades in the Flock League today. So, but regardless, I need to prep that video. I need to record that video and get that video to the editor tonight. So that's going to take me like at 2-3 hours. So I'm going to be going to bed at 1 a.m. So looks like we'll try to get both in. But it's going to take me a little bit of time to do that. So we're going to pause the live stream here. Took a little bit of time shipping out those hats today. So it's running a little bit late on it, but much love. Thank you for hanging out with us, ladies and gentlemen. I will see y'all in the live stream tomorrow, and I'm going to keep live streaming every single day, answering your fantasy football questions until Christmas. I won't miss a day. I'll be here for y'all, and appreciate you, and hope you get